On this episode of Lapeef, Let's Talk.
Ship in terms of the man and the woman being able to follow that man's lead, so on and so forth. However, how do we reconcile that if we see that, a significant amount of divorces, the number one reason is the number one reason for divorces being filed is finances, and then we're saying to women, submit under this leadership, even if, because I think that's come up a couple times, even if you earn significantly more.
I think, okay. So, and this is kind of something I think about quite often, and it's probably one of the reasons we're in the position that we're in currently. Like when it comes to the dating dynamics, is because men kind of got undermined when women were allowed to make just as much as men, because then women thought that they could do whatever they wanted to do, and largely they are. Now, is it working out for them? According to the statistics, not really. But I mean, it is what it is.
When you take that into consideration, it is a strong possibility that the circumstances is going to change based off of whatever it is that people's relationship change once they start living together. Some people don't even feel like they can live together, right? I mean, the circumstances is what changes, not necessarily the personality, right? When you put in different situations, you may see a different person.
Wait, so now what are you asking then?
What I'm saying is you can't solve for it by trying to completely vet the person and then using that as the basis for whatever your answer is.
Okay, so
the circumstance change. So let's just assume, right, that for whatever reason and however you want to translate it, this man is saying that, yo, I need you to get on this program because I got a vision for our family. Listen, I know you make a lot of money. I know you went to school. I know you got a master's degree, whatever, so on and so forth. But we're going to need you to make this adjustment, so on and so forth. How do you deal with that?
I think that, like I said earlier, as long as there is a clear plan and a reason, I don't think it should be off the table. I think that there just has to be a reason. If there's no reason, and it's just like, because of my feelings or whatever. And I'm not saying feelings aren't important. They are very important. But in terms of like taking out of a $300,000 household, bringing it to a $100,000 household, that's a big deal. So like, if there is a valid reason for that, then sure, absolutely, talk to your person, see what y'all need to do and see what works best. I'm not against that, as long as it's sustainable for the family and you're not like completely changing the lifestyle of your kids and whatnot. I don't know.
Okay. Trey, should a woman walk away from her career or take on a lesser role once she becomes a wife?
For a woman that's just becoming a wife, I think when there's kids involved, I think this conversation becomes very different. But if you are just a wife, and assuming you actually married the right person, you married this man, so hopefully he got some kind of leadership skills. So he ain't going to lead you astray. So if he told you to quit the job, I would assume there's a pretty good reason. I mean, it's so many nuances in this one that it's kind of hard to give a straight up answer. But I mean, if you trust his leadership and if he's a good leader, do whatever he wants, do whatever is good for the family and whatever he wants you to do. I mean, that's just what makes the most sense to me. But as far as saving, if you're just a wife, no kids, I wouldn't see a reason for him to tell you to do that in the first place if he has good leadership. Because, of course, just the difference in the finances. If we were to do the whole 200,000 versus 100,000 thing, just a significant difference in finances. If he was a good enough leader, he'd be able to see that and understand the importance of that extra $200,000. Now, when that woman has kids, and I think largely after women have kids, they do tend to decide to not to work. And this happens a lot at law firms too. Like a lot of women rise up high in the ranks and then they want a family and then they drop out or whatever. So when that happens, then definitely stay home and he'll take over. And at that time, y'all probably will have saved enough money to make it worth it. So I think it's a lot of nuances, but largely if you've selected a good leader and a husband, just listen to what he says and he'll probably take you to the promised land. So,
yo, PMP, let me ask you a question, bro. Do you think that in general that women today, based off of all of the advances that they're making and how educated they are, right? They are the most enrolled, especially women. Black women specifically are the most enrolled in college and all of this other type of stuff, right? Do you honestly believe that most women, especially considering that we see a lot of them that don't necessarily say, I want a husband, I want a partner. They say, I want a partner. Do you think that the most women are truly looking at their man as the leader and not looking at the relationship as a partnership, thus changing the dynamic of whether or not a woman would really even submit to a man in that type of space.
Yeah, see, if you're dealing with a woman that wouldn't want to submit to you, hopefully you vetted her enough throughout the process before you even decided to marry her. But largely, I honestly don't think so. Largely, I think a lot of people base the power dynamics of their relationship on who makes the most money, unfortunately. So I do think in that situation, and that's why I'm a traditional person myself. And when you get into the more modern relationships, you're dealing with a lot of things that people like to ignore. And the truth of the matter is, when women make more money, they generally make the decisions in the relationship, if we're just completely honest. So hopefully, I'm assuming you're a woman that is willing to listen to the man, and if he has good guidance, and in that sense, then yeah, listen to him. If not, if you're a woman that can't be led to the promised land because you don't want to listen to whatever he's trying to tell you to do, or what you want to just go off on your own, just be by yourself. Don't even be a wife. There's no point of having a partnership. If you don't want to listen to leadership, I don't even know why you're trying to do marriage, because it ain't really going to work out if you don't have a person in a select role. So
Yo, PMP, just really quick, bro. If we know that majority of divorces, the number one reason that people, I know Kay hates this number, 80% of divorces are filed by women, but we know the number one reason that people divorce is over finances, right? And so how do we reconcile that, right? So we're talking about a man leading a woman and she's earning, right? She's earning pretty good or whatever. And I agree, I led with, leadership in terms of the man and the woman being able to follow that man's lead, so on and so forth. However, how do we reconcile that if we see that a significant amount of divorces, the number one reason is the number one reason for divorces being filed is finances. And then we're saying to women, submit under this leadership, even if, because I think that's come up a couple times, even if you earn significantly more.
I think, okay. So, and this is kind of something I think about quite often, and it's probably one of the reasons we're in the position that we're in currently. Like when it comes to the dating dynamics, is because men kind of got undermined when women were allowed to make just as much as men, because then women thought that they could do whatever they wanted to do, and largely they are. Now, is it working out for them? According to the statistics, not really. But I mean, it is what it is. So I'm sorry, one more time. What's your question again? Before I get into it.
I was just asking, how do we reconcile that? Like, if we know divorces, the number one reason for divorces being filed is for finances, how do we reconcile a man being able to tell a woman, like, hey, I need you to sit back, step back, like fall back from your job? And I think the other variable that was thrown in was, even if she's earning more, how do we reconcile that?
I think it's just going to come down to what you want and in your priorities.